Well, Christmas is over, and someone decided to send me this video, and phew, I can see why, and I'm not sure why I haven't done a response to this guy as of yet. For those of you who don't know, this guy is named Rantasmo. He has some form of partnership with channel Awesome, aka Nostalgia Critic, and I once saw him in the League of Super Critics channel, which used to be Nostalgia Critic stuff, and now it's populated by critics from any of the other channel Awesome members. Now, this is where things get very interesting. On the video where he hosted most of his videos, which is on his channel, the ratings are all positive, and that's totally good for him. He has 19,000 subscribers after all. However, his video on the League of Super Critics channel got the comments and ratings disabled. Here's a video about quote-unquote forced diversity in video games, and the ratings and comments are disabled. Huh. That's very weird. And that is very interesting. But this video being sent over here is directly from his channel, and it gets positive feedback, so maybe I can agree with some of the points being stated here.
I'm Rantasmo, and Yaoi fangirls need more gay.
Yaoi fangirls need more gay? I'm very sure they already got a taste of them. There's a reason why we call it Yaoi. Now, Rantasmo here describes himself as a channel that examines the highs and lows of LGBT culture with the precision of a dull machete. That's perfectly fine, but this is the sort of person who puts needs more gay in almost every single title of the video.
Let me say this up front. My opinion of Yaoi is a resounding...
A shrug? You know, as an examiner of LGBT in culture, I thought you'd be a little bit more excited.
I don't entirely get Yaoi, but that's kind of to be expected since Yaoi generally isn't intended for me.
Your channel is dedicated on making everything gay. Why is Yaoi not for someone who wants to make everything gay?
If you don't already know, Yaoi is the term that we in the West generally use to describe Japanese manga, anime, novels, or other media focused on romantic and often sexual relationships between male characters, who are typically stylized in an androgynous way compared to the more hyper-masculine media created by and for queer men.
While he is indeed referring to animes that primarily focus on boys' love, this also includes fanfictions as well, which is where a lot of the boys' love for yaois tend to grow, at least in my own personal observation.
Understand that I'm coming into this as a bit of a double outsider. I'm not a woman, so I'm not a part of the audience that yaoi is mostly made for.
You don't really have to be. Your gender doesn't always determine someone's preference of entertainment. I used to watch Barbie, for God's sake. I was in first grade. Barbie was pretty.
And I'm not Japanese, so I don't have the best understanding of the culture that yaoi arose from.
You can also love animes and understand the Japanese culture wherever you're from, as long as you're, well, actually understand it. You don't have to be a German to understand what E equals MC squared means. That begs the question on why would you want to talk about something that you openly admitted on not fully understanding it. I want to know the purpose of this video, what kind of critiques or arguments that you want to make against something that you don't fully understand.
And let's be honest, I barely know how to pronounce it.
Angry Video Game Nerd made a great video of how pronunciations are bullshit, and you know what's bullshit series. Use that every single time they want to correct you on it.
It's difficult for me to theorize about precisely why so many women enjoy things like yaoi and slash fiction, which yaoi has a lot of overlap with.
Women love hot boys. Yaois have hot boys. Slash fiction can bear hot boys. That's pretty basic. How can you not understand that?
Obviously, there are many women who find two men attractive in the same way that a straight guy might find two women attractive. More attractive partners equals more sexual attraction. Plus, there's a certain forbidden taboo element that some people just find exciting.
There you go, you got that correctly. So, what is it that you don't understand?
But it seems like there's sometimes more to it than just that.
Please tell me this isn't gonna be like Mike Rugnetta over complicating things.
Many people say that yaoi allows women to explore sexuality in an environment where the male gaze doesn't exist.
I'm sorry, what?
Explore sexuality in an environment where the male gaze doesn't exist.
I'm sorry, what?
In an environment where the male gaze doesn't exist.
The male gaze? The male gaze is the kind of rhetoric that results in women being put in burqas. Seriously, just Follow the logic here. Male gaze is ultimately considered a negative connotation here, which means that it's bad. We should stop the male gaze. The burqa, stop the male gaze. Saying the male gaze is a rather stealthy way of telling women to cover up, as in telling women what's right to do and what's not right to do. Both you and I are not in a position of authority to judge morality on anyone on any gender.
Many people say that yaoi allows women to explore sexuality in an environment where the male gaze doesn't exist. And more specifically, where the female objects of the straight male gaze don't exist.
Fictional characters do not have agency. Drawings of fictional characters do not have agency. They're not the same as real-life women. They are, objectively speaking, an object, because they exist in the realms of fiction, as in not real. If you think that they are the same thing, and you expect them to be treated the same, sorry to say this, but your waifu isn't real. People are gonna draw whatever kind of fictional characters in however sexy or however scantily clad they wanted it to be, both male and female. If you think that it's objectifying, yes, it is, because fictional characters are objects. Drawings of fictional characters are objects. They're not real people, and they shouldn't be treated in the same level.
It's a space where women can take a more active, subjective role in their sexual expression.
By that logic, men consuming porn is men being a subject to their own sexual expression. And for some reason, that's disgusting.
Because unlike romance novels and pornography with heterosexual couples, there simply are no women to be objectified.
Women enjoy heterosexual porn too. I enjoy heterosexual porn too. So, what's your point?
And therefore no inherent power imbalances based on gender.
Power imbalances based on gender. What are you even talking about? I think I can see why you disabled the ratings in the other channel.
Yaoi is also unique in that its male characters often exhibit behavior that goes against the grain of normative gender roles. They cry, they're often submissive or vulnerable, but none of that automatically makes them weak. They represent a certain freedom from the strict gender roles imposed by the big bad patriarchy.
I rolled that clip.
And that word is patriarchy. Dun dun dun. Lightning.
All of this does arguably come at the cost of fetishizing and objectifying gay men and their relationships.
Yay! Someone finally recognized the problem!
And while I'm not necessarily opposed to a bit of male objectification every now and then,
the same way women aren't opposed to female objectification every now and then. Seriously, go talk to women. You might find it surprising that a lot of them wants to look sexy and hot.
I do feel like yaoi fandom sometimes contributes to a culture where gay couples are often infantilized and treated more like adorable puppies than actual people.
How many times do I have to say they are fictional so that it can get through some of these people's thick freaking heads? Screw it.
It's fictional characters, for God's sake.
They are fictional. These women are fictional characters. They treat fictional characters as human beings, but real human beings as absolute trash. 2D fictional characters. You cannot distinguish between fictional entertainment and reality. There's a specific group of people who also think that fictional characters are real people too. I wonder what they were called. They're fictional content. They're things that are not real. They treat fictional characters as human beings. How does a fictional character owning their sexuality? They're fiction. They're not real people. They can't consent because they don't have free will. They're 2D fictional characters. Technically speaking, they are objects. How would you ask fictional characters to consent, Anita? If you feel so insecure about your own body and looks that you have to attack fictional characters. Because obviously, real-life women are the same thing as hand-drawn women, therefore they should be treated equally the same thing. That's a very wealthy amount of track record of me saying the exact same thing over and over and over again. Either human beings are morons, or I'm just going nuts. But the video is not over yet. Maybe he has a few interesting points to say.
Like, don't get me wrong, I am f***ing cute, but this sort of thing sometimes feels a bit patronizing.
Why is it patronizing? Because they have the same gender as you?
Generally speaking, Yaoi seems less concerned with actual gay men than it is with the idea of gay men.
Yes. Go on.
The characters usually don't identify as queer, they're just kind of straight guys who f*** each other.
That's because usually the canon characters that are being paired in Yaois are straight. The fun in Yaoi is seeing straight characters being gay.
And they don't encounter any of the discrimination or other issues that real-life queer men in Japan experience.
Yes, because it's fantasy. You don't need a PSA of how gay people are treated badly. It's like going to a porn and suddenly asking, you know what would be a good idea? We're gonna get a PSA of how porn actors are treated badly in the porn realms. I mean, why do you even need that sort of thing?
Yaoi characters have a tendency to fall into pretty repetitive categories. The tall, dominant seme and the shorter, more feminine uke. And these same tropey characters show up so often, sometimes even within the same piece of media, that the genre can feel a little bit homogenous.
That's a valid criticism of animes primarily focusing on yaois. However, yaois aren't limited to just animes based on yaois. How about fan arts, fanfictions, or doujinshis? In my own personal observation, yaois grow more on fandoms of popular animes with hot boys rather than actual yaoi-centric animes. That's because yaoi-centric animes tend to be very unpopular because of their very poor writing, or at least poor when compared to other professionally made animes that have hot boys but don't have yaoi elements, like, say, Free, Kuroko, Haikyuu, Ouran High School Host Club, and you can't count that as a yaoi anime. The only way for yaoi-centric anime to beat these already well-made animes with hot boy characters is if those yaoi-centric animes are actually full-blown hentais, in which case the interest is not on the relationship but on something else more intense.
And it kind of perpetuates stereotypes about every same-gender couple consisting of masculine and feminine counterparts.
Again, this is a valid critique on yaoi-centric animes, but not on yaoi fanfictions, which is where the genres thrive. Maybe it's just me, but I see yaoi as more of a fan fiction thing rather than an actual genre in anime realms. I'm more familiar with yaoi fan fictions than I am with actual yaoi animes because they're just not as popular and in a lot of ways not as good. It's kind of sad when the fan fictions of a genre tend to be better than the actual works of that genre.
Yaoi is an especially touchy subject because, like a lot of other genres of hentai, it often goes beyond just the taboo of gay sex and into darker territory. In particular, the romanticization of rape. In fact, a very common trope in yaoi is for a rape victim to gradually fall in love with his rapist.
Ah, yes, this tends to happen in badly written yaois. Actually, no, this happens in badly written hentais too. If you're familiar with hentais, you're gonna have those hentais that have the women to obviously be abused, and then somehow the women enjoys being abused or raped. I find those kinds of hentai personally uncomfortable to watch. I prefer hentais of two consensual adults, because if one is forced into it, it makes it less fun and more painful. Most of these hentais tend to basically swift the victim and convert her into lusting more for sex instead of screaming for pain. That's when I realized that the hentais jumped the shark and I decided, yeah, screw it, it's freaking hentai. I don't expect Shawshank Redemption or anything. I've seen lots and lots of these types of hentais. I would call those types of hentais rape plus because the character is literally lusting to get raped. It's uncomfortable indeed, but it's hentai. Everything on hentai is uncomfortable. What do you expect? Where's that deleted scene from The Office?
It's called hentai, and it's art.
Rape fantasy in fiction is a really complicated subject, one that, again, I am maybe not super qualified to comment on. I don't want to kink shame anyone, and I do think people should be free to explore their fantasies in a safe and healthy way.
Yes, indeed. It's a very hard subject to tackle in fiction. It's one of the most difficult subjects to tackle in fiction, which is why writers should be very careful at doing it. But that doesn't mean that nobody should try to tackle it. Practice makes perfect, and you can't always please everybody, so just write whatever you want.
I also very much understand the concern that yaoi, and by extension certain members of the yaoi community, contribute to the normalization and glamorization of abuse.
No. No, they don't. Yaoi fans are normalizing rape? So your argument is that most yaois are rape, therefore most yaoi fans are normalizing rape, as in making rape okay, as in yaois make people think that rape is okay! We are creating rapists! Oh my god! No. Just... You're implying that all yaoi fans are moronic kids who cannot distinguish between fiction and reality. You're pretty much projecting at this moment. Even if 100% of yaoi is rape, it stays on the realm of fantasy. Give me statistics that proves that yaoi fans are gonna be future rapists or something. What a stupid statement to make. And even if such statistics exist, correlation does not imply causation. Someone else's fantasy or consumption of said fantasy does not always make it to be a reality. Just because I consume yaoi a lot, just because I like yaois a lot, does not automatically mean that I am actually gay. I like the design of the cute boys in the anime, but that's almost literally it.
I would apply similar criticisms to things like Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey, but it is worth pointing out that these issues are not at all unique to media made by and for women.
Congratulations! You just obliterated your entire argument by saying this happens in mainstream fiction too. Look outside. Seriously, look outside. There are people that watch Blade Runner and is excited about the new sequel coming out. A completely unnecessary sequel that spoils that Deckard is not a replicant, but the sequel nonetheless. Are you saying that people who watch Blade Runner are women beaters and abusers because they watch Blade Runner?
And many fujoshi are themselves very critical of the problems that yaoi presents.
No, Fujoshis actually love domination yaois. Fujoshis absolutely adore abuse yaois. Sure, there are those that don't, but S&M is kinky, and kinky is sexy, especially when hot boys are involved.
The yaoi community may have its issues, but that's true of humanity in general. And I'm all for people finding whatever respite they can from the crushing pervasiveness of heteronormativity. For some people that's a gay romance novel, for others it's an online community, and for others it's, well, sparkly.
Yaois are cute and kawaii, oh my god. Seriously, well, what is the point of this video exactly? What is on yaoi that needs more gay? The only arguments that I can gather from this guy is yaoi should be less abusive and less rapey because it perpetuates the normalization of abuse, as in it will make yaoi fans think rape is okay, as in yaoi fans cannot distinct between fictional and reality, therefore we should make yaois to be a little bit less triggering. And the other argument is yaoi should have scenes where gay people are being discriminated against, as in yaoi should have PSAs, which is not what a yaoi is supposed to be. Maybe in the end, yaois are already gay enough, the fans of yaois love it, and this guy, for all his talk about LGBT stuff, this is really nothing but hurting the LGBT. I mean, making yaois to have PSAs about how gays are being discriminated against, yeah, that's literally making yaois to be not so fun anymore. That's all for the video today. If you like this, you can go ahead and click the like button and subscribe for more if you wish. You can support me on Patreon. And thanks for watching.